My name is Hamza Zakaria. Hamza is my name. Zakaria is my father's name. We are 7 in our family. In our nuclear family. I'm the 5th born in the family. I offered business at the business in high school. I completed 2012. I farm. I have my own farm that I also go and farm. Youth development is something that I'm passionate about. My first relationship, it has uh, changed the way I start new relationships. I can remember my first relationship started somewhere 2008. That was in my final year in junior high school. Yeah, but aside that way, when you are in the community, you have some little girls that this is your girlfriend, and the girls also know that is. So from there, that one I will not talk about it because that one was just kind of play. But the first relationship that I had, that the first lady or the first girl that I said that I love her, it started in 2008. I followed this girl for some time, by then I didn't know how to even talk to a girl. But I was just following her like in a kind of friendship or something like that, but she wasn't giving me that chance, the opportunity. But the day I got the breakthrough was on the election day. 2008 we had elections. That was the day I had a breakthrough. No, a day before that, I went to the house. That's where I spoke with her, and it's like everything was cool. And the following day, she was also going to vote. So I went to the house, and with my bicycle, I was having a bicycle that I rode to school. So from there, I went to her house and sent her to the election ground for her to vote. That was where we started the relationship, and up to now, I can't forget her. But I don't think that kind of bond that I used to have with her is still there. But I still picture how we used to just sit and talk about ourselves. Then, just to make it clear, the main issue was that she was in hurry to marry then. That was from 2013, and I was not ready for marriage. That was the reason why we broke up. It's not that it was something that just end the relationship. Yeah, it was just that she was ready because she just completed GSS. She was to go to a senior high school, but unfortunately the result was not good. So I was even putting pressure to get a different senior high school for her so that we can have that ample time to plan. But it's like she was not ready to go back to school again. And I just completed senior high school 2012, 2013, and I'm married now. So I just had to let her go to achieve her dreams of marrying or settling down, and I'll continue my journey. Youth development just has to do with doing things or creating opportunity for the young people to have that opportunity to harness their talent. Everybody is being born with a hidden talent, but there are some young people they have the talent, but they themselves don't know that they have that talent in them. So, and it's something that I'm passionate about. So mostly I just started my youth work at my final year in university, and I got that idea from the course that I offered, that is development education, and it has to do with community development and just personal relations and things like that. It has basically just about advocacy. So that's where I got the idea from, and I realized that the course is just about what I was even thinking about. So that's where I started my youth this time. After completing the university, I had opportunity to work with other youth group in Tamale here. Activista is one, Northern Youth Parliament is two, and a whole lot of other youth group that I work with. And at my final year, I was also trying to create my own NGO, but because of lack of experience and because I didn't have someone to guide me towards that, it did not materialize. Even though we were able to do one or two things. The name of the NGO was Development Advocate Ghana. We call it DAG, D-A-G. So our main aim was to tackle social issues in the community, and what we were doing was that we try to identify a particular problem in the community that is targeting the youth. Then we come out with a short video to address it. We even from then we even came out with a drug abuse video, because we realized that most of the young people were involved in this drug and stuff like that. So there were a whole lot of other things that we wanted to do, but because we were lacking experience, and you know, when you complete university, you are doing your national service, pressure from family and friends and things in the community are now on you, and you are now like a grown man, and people now leave you, your parents now leave you to do your own things. So you feel like you need to do things that will give you money. And at that time, having your own NGO that you will be sacrificing to run it without having money, it was something. And the people that my colleagues that I was working with, none of them were even working. We were all just national service personnel, and the amount we were receiving was 559, and that 559 was something that cannot sustain us. When you look at it, 559, you can't use it to run the NGO. You also have your own personal issues, and you have family issues that is also hanging on your neck. So we're finding it difficult to balance the two. And another thing was that most of our members were being sent to different communities. So it was difficult getting people to come together to plan things or talk things about the NGO that we had. So the NGO we didn't just announce that we would just close it, but it just vanished. Up to now, we may call each other, we talk about it, but nothing happens again. So all this was just towards helping the youth, helping the young person to grow. And aside that, I also have personal things that I do in the community. In my area, even though I don't have a particular group, but I do have one-on-one sessions with young people. It's not something that is organized. Because I'm passionate about it, I sometimes have one-on-one discussions with young people. It's something the young person might not even know that I'm giving her education or something just to develop himself or herself. But at the end, if he or she follows that advice that I gave her, that little experience that I also have or had, it might help her in future. And just last year, I started something in my area, Nyohane, with the team, not me alone. Even though we had the idea, we championed it. We came out with something, Nyohane fun games, Nyohane Seller fun game. It was during the Seller that we organized it, and our idea was to bring the young people together, for them to create that bond with each other, to create that social capital with each other, so to create that new relationship, because we realize that you may be in the same area but they are not in talking terms with each other. So we realize that bringing them together to create that bond is also something that can help the young person to socialize. So when you socialize through there, we give them education. We give them education about personal development. We give them education about things that they have to do, particularly their education. Even if you're not going to attend education, there are other vocational things that you can be doing, or technical, like medicine, tailoring, and all other things that you can do as a young person to develop yourself. So we just hammer on them that if you think that education is expensive for you, you can try other things that you think they are not expensive, like vocation, as I mentioned earlier. It really shaped my relationship and changed how I think about other girls, in the sense that if I know that the relationship that I'm going into, it might not yield the needed or the target aim for me, I'm not going to start that relationship. Even though, you know, when you are a youth, when you are maybe from adolescent to adulthood, between the ages, when you are moving to that stage, you sometimes exhibit that youthfulness in you. So sometimes I used to have more than maybe one or two girlfriends at the same time, but
so you were cheating?
Not necessarily cheating. I wouldn't call that cheating.
It's cheating.
No, it's not cheating. You know, in Islam you can have more than one. So if I'm in a relationship and I'm still working on other one, doesn't mean that I'm cheating on that one. Maybe you might call it cheating, but I don't think it's cheating. As I said, when you are a young person, at that time you sometimes exhibit it, and it's involuntary. It's not that you intend doing it.
So
But
cheating is involuntary.
I'm not saying cheating is involuntary, but the issue is that I said when you are a young person, growing up, you sometimes exhibit it without knowing. You understand? You'll be in a relationship, but you might want to explore from other relationships. So sometimes that was then I was kind of doing that. I have a lot of relationships that I was in, and at the end you just broke up without telling us that we broke up. You're just there, and at the end you are not just saying anything. You are not calling. Maybe sometimes you call, and you just maybe when you see yourself somewhere, you just sit down talk. But all of you will know that we are no more dating, but we're just there as friends or something like that. At times it might come from me. At times it comes from the lady. Life is just has to do with just ups and downs. I'm just going to give you a typical example, just a life experience that I myself went through. Just my immediate past two relationships. The other one was just pressure, marriage.
She wanted to get
She wanted to get married.
Hey, they're all the ladies you are looking
Yes,
for.
she wanted to get married, and I told her that if you want us to marry now, I'm not ready for marriage now. I'm not saying I won't marry you, but not now. But she was insisting on now, so it ended up that way. So, and currently she's also planning to marry a different person. And another one, just the immediate one too, the same issue. She was also ready for marriage again, and I am not. So sometimes I ask myself, should I even go into relationship again? Because if I go into relationship and maybe the lady is ready for marriage and I am not ready for marriage, it's like I'm betraying them, or I'm betraying her, or I'm wasting her time. So sometimes I just ask myself, and I can tell you for a fact now that I'm not dating anyone right now. I'm not dating anyone. And my basic line is I don't want to date someone who want marriage now. I'm not saying I'm not going to marry. No, definitely I'll marry, but when the time is right. But I think right now, if I marry, my wife will not live the kind of life I want my wife to live. So because of that, I wouldn't want anyone's daughter to go through or to live a certain life that I don't want her to live. So that is just my aim or my reason for not settling down right now.
Okay, so you start another relationship when you are ready to settle down.
Yes.
Okay.
And or maybe when the lady in questions is willing. We don't have a specific age that a lady can marry. No, just has to do with individual difference. There are some ladies who marry at the age of 18, 17, some 20, and some even married at the age of 35. And some are even 40 and they're still not yet married. That doesn't mean that they will not marry.
They'll marry definitely, but the society has made it in such a way that a woman has to get married before she's 30.
That is just my issue. It's not about society. It is about what you want.
It's about
I know, like me for instance, I have younger people who are even married with two people, two wives, two wives. Yeah, just my younger ones, and I'm older than them. They are married. That is what they want. I'm not yet ready to settle down. If I'm not mistaken, the age that a woman will reach menopause is 54. Even though it differs, but that is the actual age. And I have my aunt. That's my father's their last born. She married at the age of 50. She just gave birth.
Wow.
Yes.
So we shouldn't look at the society. That's what I'm saying.
That is just the issue. Most of our young people, that is our problem. We mostly look at what society will talk about you, what society will say about you. Your colleagues are marrying, also settle down. What are you doing? What are you with? Don't wait to get job. Just marry. They will give you hadith that our prophet used to say tell someone to marry. The person married and the things are not moving, or he asked the person to marry another wife. He was a prophet. Maybe God revealed something to him that we don't know. So you can't use it as a yardstick to tell someone to marry because the person said, I'm not employed. I don't have anything. I can't take care of a wife, and you're telling the person to marry. I don't agree with that. So we shouldn't just dwell on what society says or what society talks about, but what you want as an individual is very important. And that is what I still stand by.
So you are telling women not to marry because society is putting pressure on them?
Yes, I'm telling them not to marry because of society. They should marry because they should marry when they feel or think that they are ready to marry. There's no age for marriage.
Okay, so
there are some people who married at the age of 25 up to 35, they are still not giving birth. It doesn't mean that when you marry early, you are going to no. Someone will marry and the person will give birth somewhere at the age of 40. You marry at the age of 20, you stay for 20 years, then you give birth at the age of 40. You understand? And there are some people, they marry at the age of 20 and they never gave birth. You understand? And destiny, everybody has his or her own destiny. You can't push me to bring forward my destiny. Everything goes with time. Managing relationship and the work I do was not all that challenging, because if you are focused and you know what you want, you wouldn't mix things together. Because as I said earlier, I started my first relationship back in 2008. That was when I was just about to go to senior high school. So even in senior high school, I had a relationship there, and that relationship never stopped me from learning. Anytime I have quarrel with my girlfriend on campus, I'll still sit down and learn. So it was something that I tried to manage, to separate my relationship from my studies and also my relationship with my work. So I don't try to mix them together. Even it got to a point that when I completed, when I was in final year at university, I used to work with my girlfriend. The NGO that we started, my girlfriend was part of the team. So I try as much as possible to separate our relationship from the work. You understand? So I always try to ensure that if we are working, it's different from our relationship. You understand? Whatever we do, we try as much as possible to separate everything from each other and to always focus on what we are doing and try not to mix relationship with that. But if you are someone who think that I can't blend both, don't try it. Particularly when you are in a senior high school and you have a girlfriend, you think that when you have a quarrel with your girlfriend, it will prevent you from studying on campus. I advise that you shouldn't try dating at that early age. I was lucky that anytime I have quarrel with my girlfriend, I can study without anything. Even that would even be the day that I will study more hours than when I'm studying with her, because I always study with my girlfriend on campus. Yeah, I always study with her and other ladies, because on campus most of the people that I usually study with were ladies. And the reason why I chose ladies to study with was because it helps me a lot, because most of the ladies, they sometimes ask you to explain certain things to them. So I always make sure that anytime, I wouldn't want a girl to ask me to explain something to her that I couldn't explain. So it always puts me on my toes. Mostly, we never go to prep somewhere 8 o'clock. So mostly when it is in the night, I'll just go to pray Maghrib and Isha, then go straight to prep. Then I'll stay there from there to 8:30. Then my girlfriend will come. I'll stay with her for like 1 or 30 minutes. She will go. I'll call another friend. Girlfriend, that one, she was just a friend, a classmate of mine. She will come. We'll stay there for 1 hour. She will go back. I'll call another person. So in the night, I will stay with different ladies, like 4 or 5 ladies in the night. So I normally go to sleep somewhere 2, 3. So it was something that always keeps me on my toes to learn. You understand? So I realized that if I'm studying with them, I always try to learn ahead. And there was one day, there was one day I was studying with my girlfriend. We were just about a month to start our WASI. So I was just sitting with my girlfriend. So she asked us to test ourselves in science, because our first paper was science practicals. So she brought Aquila science with the practicals. So she was asking me questions. I'll ask her something. She will explain. I'll ask her something. I realized that she has memorized everything in Aquila and I just learned some portions. I was kind of envy or jealous of her. So I gave myself 1 week. I also gave myself 1 week. So within that week, I was able to memorize everything in Aquila. So it was a strategy that I used to study more. So studying with ladies sometimes helps you, if only you can control your emotions. And God being so wonderful, I was able to control my emotions and separate my studies from my relationship. And the same thing applies to my work. If you're my girlfriend and I'm dating you, but when we are working, you understand? I wouldn't want you to interfere. When it's time for a relationship, we don't talk about work. But when it's time for work, we talk about work. So that's what and I'm always lucky that the ladies that I normally date sometimes also understand how I work, how I do things. So they also try to separate my work from. Okay, the advice I have for my colleague young people is that to try and show up for events. Most young people, they're afraid to show up whenever whenever there's a gathering. They don't show up for that opportunity. If you don't show up for something, how will you get that opportunity? And they also they sometimes also feel shy to ask questions. And I think as a young person, when you are growing up, it's good to be curious. Yes, ask questions. There are a whole lot of opportunities that we can explore for ourselves. And as a young person, let's try to respect our elders. Let's try to have to cultivate the habit of volunteerism. If you don't volunteer, if you don't work free for people, you can't get that opportunity. Me, for instance, now I can't say I'm employed. I'm not employed, but I'm working with an NGO, and I can say that NGO I'm not even get paid. But the work I do with the NGO, I find satisfaction from that. So when you are a young person, whatever you do, try to ask yourself, am I getting that satisfaction that I need? Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Do I need to get paid before doing what I'm doing? The bottom line is, whatever you are doing, if you are happy, if you are passionate about whatever you are doing, just continue doing it. If you continue doing it, you will make it. As I said, I'm still young and I'm still learning. I haven't even started my journey yet. This is just the beginning of my journey, and God's willing, we'll get to wherever we want to get.